Hey everybody, it's Matt from Britical Saiyans here, and today I'm going to show you my Android 20/Dr. Mew/17 deck from set 20. So when he attacks, you look at top 5 and you add an Android or a machine mutant that's going to cost a 6 or less. And then it's got Awakening for 4 or less life, or when you have 2 more energy and then you've got an Android 17 and a Hellfire 17 in your battle area or in your Z energy, then you add it to, you got 6 life, draw 2 cards and flip over. On the Awakened side, when he attacks, he draws a card. He's got 2 activate mains. The first one, once per turn, you can add life to your hand and then choose one of your opponent's unisons and remove a marker from it. And then the other one, once per turn, you place 1 card from under one of your Super 17 cards under this card, and then for a turn you reduce the skill cost of the Z Awakened of a Super 17 ready to absorb in your Z deck by 1 green. So that's the leader. And then the Z deck. So I'll just show you the Z power cards I've gone with for the deck. So we've just got 3 of the Freezer, and then the rest of it is Z leaders. Freezer, 2 cost, 1 Z energy. He's deflect, double strike, and then when he's played, you get to KO. Someone's got 5 or less, and then he's got auto once per turn that when one of your other green cards attacks, as long as it's a battle card that's attacking, you can lose 1 of your Z energy and make your opponent pitch a card. So a little bit of hand destruction. And then we have 3 Z leaders here, because you go into this one and then you Z stack these 2, the blonde one and the cell one. So the point is when you go into this one, you then pick whichever one of each you want to go into first, because there is activate main once per turn. You place up to 1 green Android with energy cost of 1 from your deck or drop under this card, and then you shuffle your deck if you went through it. He's got auto. At the end of your opponent's turn, you place this card from underneath your leader, on top of your leader. So whenever it comes back to your turn, you're always going into this. One thing before I go any further, so reducing the cost, so he's only going to cost 1 green into the energy. And then going into either of these, depending on how you want to go about it, like whether you want to go straight into this one and then next turn go into this one and then just try and loop going into these, or if you want to just go straight for that one and then obviously vice versa. But it's all dependent. I think it also depends on what stage the game is, depending on which one you'd want to go into first because of what they do. So the Bound by Blood, that's the 18 absorbed. If you have an Android 18 card under your leader card and you place 1 card from Super 17 underneath one of your Super 17s into the drop, you go into this at the end of your turn. It's got 2 autos. The first one, when your opponent attacks, you choose one of your Super 17s, switch it to active mode. That's because the big 17s, they both have blockers, the 6 cost and the 8 cost. So that's why you want to be able to have them in active mode. And then you got auto once per turn. It also means that you can swing with them first on your turn and then have a blocker. So yeah, there is that. But yeah, sorry. So the auto once per turn, if it's your opponent's turn, when they switch 1 their energy into rest mode, you choose 1 of your opponent's power cards and energy cost of 4 or less and KO it. So punish your opponent for trying to play things, but they can easily play around it at the same time. If they don't have anything out, it's like, well, I'll tap the energy, your effect fizzles. So do bear that in mind. The cell absorbed one, it's got auto once per turn when it attacks, you draw a card, but that is once per turn because of the other skill, which is auto once per turn. If it's your turn, when opponent's energy is switched to rest mode, you switch discard active mode and KO something. And then it's got activate main, that if a cell is under your leader card, you can place one card from under one of your Super 17s into a drop and go into this. So you go this into this, and then if you happen to have both the cell and the 18, you then at the end of your turn go into this one. So then you basically go back into that at the end of their turn, and then you go back into that. You want to try and having it so you're going into this one, and then at the end of your turn going into this one. So then you have this one for your opponent's turn and this one for your turn. On to the main deck. The extra cards, we've got 2 Shocking Death Ball, just your spark in the gate, where you can rip life if you've got 5 in drop, or you can just pay the green. But when you use this negate, you can then pop something that's got an energy cost of 2 or less on your opponent's side. And then we got Goku's Kamehameha Deflection. The permanent is irrelevant for this deck, but it's just a negate that you can do only once, so it's got limit 1, but then you get to kill something that's got an energy cost of 4 or less. And then the other blockers are, well, blockers. Other negates a deck is the Homicidal Clones, which just puts out it's your token negate. And then the last extra card is Cells, Earth Destroying Kamehameha. So it's activate battle. If your leader card is green, you choose up to one of your leader cards or battle cards against 15k power. And then also, if all of your energy is green, when you activate this card, choose one card in your opponent's hand and place it in the drop. So that's the extra cards. And then the battle cards. All the 1 costs first. So to start off with, we've got the Hellfighter 17. This is the one you want to try and have in your Z energy, is the Hellfighter, because you want the Android 17 to be in your battle area. And you'll see why when we get further into the deck profile. When this one is played, you get to draw a card. But then he's got 2 activate mains. The first one is you place this card in his owner's drop. You play up to 1 Android 17 Brainwash Fighter from your deck with his skills negated for a turn, and then shuffle your deck. So it's a way of getting into the Brainwash if you don't have it, which is the other 1 cost 17, which you'll see in a moment. And then you got activate main limit 1. If your leader card is a green Super 17 card or a green Hellfighter 17 card, and you place 1 green non-Hellfighter 17 card from your Z energy into its drop, add this card from your drop to your Z energy, because you want this one in your Z energy. That's why it's doing that. And then we got the Brainwash Fighter 17. He's just got barrier, and then when he's played, you look at top 5 and you add an Android and energy cost of 6 or less. And then we've got 3 copies of the Cell. So this is the one you put underneath your leader to go into this one. It's got activate battle, limit 1, paint a green. If this card is under your Super 17 Z leader, which it will be, you can send this from there to the warp, and the leader will gain double strike as an activate power. And then the 18, same thing, apart from you send her to just to gain 5k for the battle, but she doesn't have energy cost. Just that for the double strike. 2 costs of the deck. We've got super combos. Just gone with Great Saiyan, just because it's a bottom deck draw 2. And then we got 4 copies of Dr. Mew. I feel like this is a 4-off just because of the fact that it's activate main limit 1, that if your leader card is a green Super 17 card and you have 4 or more energy and you place this card from your hand into your drop, you play up to 1 17 and 1 Hellfighter 17, both with energy cost of 1 from your drop with this skills negated for a turn. Because of how much you need to have both those 1 costs out, you really have to make sure you can see them as much as possible, and this just gives you that extra opportunity, because yeah, you've got a Hellfighter and your Z energy, but then you're paying your Z energies, you get it in the drop. This is a way of getting it back into play to get it back into your Z energy, which is why I feel like it has to be a 4 of. And then you got Android 20, and then when this card is KO'd, this is an auto. When it's KO'd by an opponent's skill, you add up to 1 green Android 17 card with energy cost of 3 from your deck to your hand of your deck. Not too relevant, more of the fact that if it comes up it can be relevant, but it's not one of those that will come up all that often. The limit one, you can just, the other auto limit one, you can just ignore because it's not relevant for this deck. It's for the GT deck. The free costs is another Hellfighter 17, which does again make a huge difference because it means that this one can go into your Z energy to help towards things. But it's got activate main, limit 1, paint a green. If your leader card is a green Super 17 card or a green Hellfighter 17 and you have an Android 17 in play, you can play this card from your hand, so it helps you put a 15k body on the board, for cheap anyway. And then you got activate main, limit 1, if your leader card is a green Super 17 or the Hellfighter 17, and you place 1 green non-Hellfighter 17 card from your Z energy into your opponent's drop, add this card from your drop to your Z energy. So it has the same skill as the other one, but again that's because the Hellfighter needs to be in the Z energy. And then the 4 costs. We've got 3 copies of the Duo, so the Android 17 and Hellfighter 17 synchronized. Let's just grab the non-blinding one to read. So it's got activate main, limit 1, paint a green. If your leader card is a green Super 17 or a green Hellfighter 17 card and you have 2 or more energy, you can play this card from your hand. And then it's got activate main, limit 1, where you send this card from the battle area to the drop, and then you play each of one of the 1 costs. That and that from either your deck or your drop into the battle area and negate the skills, and then you go through the deck. You have to shuffle, obviously. And then the other 4 costs in deck is just the counterplay cooler. So you can't play if the battle card being player's energy cost of 4 or less is placed in the drop instead of being played, and then you play him out. Depending when his cost gets reduced for each of your extra cards in your battle area and drop, but of course for this deck it's only the drop is relevant. And then auto, if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand when this is played, they choose a card and discard it. Just a bit of a counterplay. And then for the 6 costs, got 2 copies of Goku and 18. It says deflect, dual attack. First auto, completely irrelevant for this deck because that's the Goku GT. It's auto limit 1. The second one is what we care about. Is when this card attacks, your opponent chooses one of their unitons with a specified cost of 3 or less, and they place it in a drop. If they don't, they got to discard 1 card from their hand. So if they haven't got a unison out, it just means that you're taking cards out of their hand every turn. If they've got a unison out and it doesn't have that cost, you're still taking cards out of their hand. It's just a nice thing to be forcing your opponent to lose card advantage. Or hand advantage, whatever you want to go with. And then you got activate main, limit 1, paint 2 green. If you've got 3 or more energy and you have a green Z battle card in play, you can play this card from your hand, which is nice. Right. Next up we got Super 17 Hell's Avenger. So this one and the next card, they do both kind of have to be 4 ofs in the deck, just because you have to be seeing these guys every possible turn that you can play them, just because how many of your effects revolve around taking a card from underneath one of these to do their effects. You need to be able to do that as much as humanly possible. So yeah, like I said earlier, this one's got blocker and the next one's got blocker, just so because they go back to active during your opponent's turn, you can still block with them. It's got an auto. If the leader card is a green Super 17 or a green Hellfighter 17, when discard attacks. You use up to one card from under this card in a combo, and your opponent, your opponent then places one of their Z energy into its owner's drop. So you can get a combo from underneath this if you want to, and then make and lose a Z energy. But honestly, with how much you need the cards underneath these, unless you can guarantee going into either this or the 8 cost and still be able to do your effects, you don't really want to be taking cards from underneath this. And it's got activate main, limit 1, pay in a green. If you've got 3 or more energy, and you choose one Hellfire 17 card in your Z energy and an Android 17 card in your battle area, draw 1 card, play this card, take the 2 cards, put them underneath, against double strike and barrier. So that's why the Hellfire ones always go into the Z energy, because you're taking them from the Z energy to play it. And that's the same with this guy. Is activate main works in exactly the same way, other than the fact that you need 4 more energy. He costs 2 green, and he gains double strike barrier and dual attack instead of just double strike barrier. But the auto for him, when you take a card from underneath him, you get to KO one of your opponent's battle cards, and then your opponent discards a card. And then that's it. So there you go, guys. That is the 17 deck profile. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Although, actually, leave any thoughts you have in the comments below as well. Bye, guys.